Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today we're doing an Atlantean Mermail deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is an extremely powerful deck that can make some really amazing boards. I have all sorts of spicy tech cards in this deck for you guys, so without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can come part of our notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name description in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month you're a patron. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Mermail Abystius. This card is definitely a 3 of in the deck. It has the ability to discard one other water monster to the graveyard and special summon this card from your hand. And if this card is summoned this way, you get to add a level 4 or lower Mermail monster from your deck to your hand, which is a really good effect to be able to use because you have some awesome targets in the deck to be able to search out off this card's effect. We then play a single copy of Megalo. Megalo is just a 1 of in this build. This card is still a really great card to help you OTK your opponent, and has a great ability to discard 2 other water monsters to the graveyard to special summon this card from your hand. And when you do, you can add an Abyss, spell, or trap from your deck to your hand. You can also attribute one other face of attack position water monster to make this card have a second attack during each battle phase, which is a really good effect to be able to use to get this card a second attack during a battle phase this turn, which is just amazing to be able to do with this card. We then play a single copy of Abyss Spike. Abyss Spike is great as a card to search off Abystius, because when this card is normal or special summon, you can actually discard a water monster to the graveyard to add a level 3 water monster from your deck to your hand, which is a pretty good effect to be able to use with this card. We then play a single copy of Abyss Gun. Abyss Gun is good as a 1-0, but you really only need a single copy of this card. If this card is discarded to the graveyard, you can target a Mermail monster in your graveyard, extend another copy of this card, and special summon that target back to your side of the field, which is a pretty good effect. We then play 3 copies of the Atlantean Prince. The Atlantean Prince is one of the best cards in the entire deck. This card is absolutely crazy at how many pluses it's going to get you, because when this card is on your side of the field, you can send an Atlantean monster from your deck to the graveyard, except another copy of this card, to add an Atlantean card from your deck to your hand, except another copy of this card. And if this card is sent to the graveyard to activate a water monster event, you can target an Atlantean monster in your graveyard, except another copy of this card, and special summon it back to your side of the field, which is a insanely powerful effect with this card's ability. We then play 3 copies of Atlantean Dragoons. Dragoons is definitely a 3 of in this build, and this card actually searches out cards from the deck, which is really good because when this card is sent to the graveyard to activate a water monster's effect, you can add a Sea Serpent type monster from your deck to your hand, which is just a really powerful effect to be able to use with this card to get the exact Sea Serpent monster that you need off this card's effect. And a really cool combo with this card is to actually send it to the graveyard off your copy of Prince, so you actually get a double search, which is really insane. We then play 2 copies of Heavy Infantry. Heavy Infantry is really good in this deck as a 2-of, because this card actually lets you pop cards, which is really insane. And it has the ability that when this card is sent to the graveyard to activate a water monster effect, you can target a face-up card your opponent controls and destroy that target, which is a really good effect to be able to use with this card. Also, if this card's on the field during your main phase, you can normal summon a level 4 lower Sea Serpent type monster in addition to your normal summoner set, which is a pretty good effect to be able to use on this card. We're then playing a really awesome spicy tech card that I'm actually going to lay face down and play Guess That Card with. This card is a really awesome tech card that I'm playing this build, and it's a really fun card to help you summon out some insane boss monsters in this deck. So we're actually going to reveal this card in 3, 2, 1, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, guys, and hit that bell there so you can become part of notification squad, because on the road to 100k subscribers. And definitely comment down below what you think this card is. So let's go ahead and take a look at this really spicy tech card. So this really spicy tech card that I'm playing in the deck is actually going to be a single copy of Poseidra. I know, kind of weird. This card actually is a great combo piece and not a brick in this deck for a really cool little combo that I'm playing in this build. You actually kind of want to see this card in your hand. It has a really cool effect that you can contribute up to 3 level 3 or lower water monsters to special summon this card from your hand or graveyard to your side of the field. And when you do, return all spells and traps on the field back to the hand. And if you do that, and the 3 or more cards were returned back to the hand by this effect, all monsters that your opponent currently controls lose 300 attack and defense for each, which is a pretty cool effect. But there's a really neat combo in the deck because we're also playing 3 copies of Deep Sea Diva. 3 copies of Deep Sea Diva is really good in this deck because when it's normal or special summon, you can actually special summon a level 3 or lower Sea Serpent type monster from your deck, which can be your copy of your Prince, which is really good. So once you summon out your copy of Prince, you can use its ability to be able to get your copy of Dragoons to the graveyard, and then be able to grab your copy of Poseidra from your deck to your hand. You can use Deep Sea Diva and your copy of Prince to be able to synchro summon into a copy of your Tatsunoko, which can actually synchro summon using cards in your hand. Your copy of Poseidra is a level 7, Tatsunoko is actually a level 3, which is going to help you step into a Baron de Fleur off of just a normal summon of Deep Sea Diva, because you normal summon this, synchro with these two, Tatsunoko, grab that from deck to hand off your copy of Dragoon's effects and your copy of Neptuprince's ability, which is really good to be able to do and get into these cards. It's very easy to be able to pull off, and it actually helps you get around Nibiru, which is really, really good. I love that combo in this deck. It's just super fun to be able to do, because you're basically going to guarantee that you're not going to get Nibiru when you go for that combo. We then play 3 copies of Deep Sea Minstrel. This card is great in the deck as a 3-of, because this card has an awesome ability that you can discard this card and a water monster, look at your opponent's hand, and banish 1 card from their hand face up until the end phase, which is a pretty good ability to use on this card, just to make sure you're going to get cards out of your opponent's hand. We then play 3 copies of Swap Frog. We do play Totally Awesome in the extract, so this card is really good in this particular build. It's very easy to put on your side of the field, because you discard a water monster to special summon this card from your hand, and when this card is summoned, you can select and send a level 2 or lower aqua monster that's from your deck to the graveyard, which is a really good effect to be able to use. I love that ability on this card, and it's a definite 3-of in the deck. We then play a single copy of Substitute. Substitute is great as a 1-of in this particular build, because you tribute a monster and then special out a frog monster from your deck, which is pretty good to be able to do in the deck to get you a copy of Swap Frog onto your side of the field. We then play 3 copies of Ice Jade Ran Agrini. This card is awesome in the deck as a 3-of, because it actually helps you step into your Ice Jade Synchro monster, or even link summon with this card, because you can discard one of their Ice Jade card or a water monster to special summon this card from your hand. Then you can special summon an Ice Jade token as an aqua water level 3 0 attack 0 defense, and while that token is in the monster zone, the player who summoned it cannot special summon monsters from the extract except water monsters, which we pretty much only play water in the extract, so it's very easy to get around. And this card is just super good to put on your side of the field, because it is a tuner, so it's very easy to be able to go in for some really cool plays with this card. We then play a single copy of Moral Inglacia. Moral Inglacia is really good in this particular deck as well, because you can, with that Baron de Fleur combo, you can actually search out your copy of Moral Inglacia, which is really good to be able to do. I love that about this card. And it basically, if you have 5 water monsters in your graveyard, and if this card, you can special summon this card to your side of the field, and then discard 2 random cards from your opponent's hand, which is really good, because with that combo, you're actually going to be able to establish Moral Inglacia, rip 2 cards out of your opponent's hand, have a negate on your side of the field, and your opponent's going to start with 4 cards instead of 6 when they go for their turn if we go first, which makes it super easy to pull off with this deck, and it's just really insane. We then play a single copy of Lapis Dragon. Lapis Dragon's great as an extender, because if this card is added from your deck to your hand, you can reveal this card and special summon it, and it is a level 5 tuner, but you can also just use this card for link summons, which is really nice. We then play a single copy of Minaruka. Minaruka is really nice as a 1-of in the deck, because when a water monster effect is activated, quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand, which is a pretty good effect. And you also banish a fish, sea serpent, or aqua monster that you control. Target 1 face a card on the field and negate its effects until the end of the turn, which is a pretty good effect to be able to use with this card. I really like this card as a 1-of in the deck, because it just helps you negate cards on the field, and it's a great extender in this particular build. It also can help you go in for some more plays in the deck, like your copy of Bahamut Shark, which is just really good in this particular build to help you summon out your copy of Totally Awesome. So this card is definitely a 1-of in the build. So that's going to do it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Monster Reborn. Monster Reborn is really good in this particular build, because you're basically just trying to swarm the board with all sorts of monsters, and this card can really help extend your plays. We then play a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is great as a 1-of, just to be able to stop your opponent from hand trapping you while you're going in for all of your plays. We then play a single copy of Abyss Scale of Mikazuchi. This card is searchable off your copy of Abyss Megalo, which is really good, because you can equip only to a monster that's a Mermail monster. It gains 800 attack attack points, and when a spell card is activated on your opponent's side of the field, negate that effect and then send this card to the graveyard, which is a great effect to be able to use because it will boost your copy of Megalo up to 3,200, and then that Megalo can attack twice if you use its ability, which is just really, really big. We then play 2 copies of Deep Sea Aria. Deep Sea Aria is great as a 2 of the deck because it helps you get to your copy of Diva extremely quickly, as you banish 1 water monster from your graveyard and then add a level 4 lower sea serpent type monster from your deck to your hand, which can be your copy of Deep Sea Diva, which we're usually searching so we can go in for the Baron de Fleur, more on Glacia play. We then play 2 copies of Triple Tactical Talents. Triple Tactical Talents is great just in case we do get hand trapped. We can draw 2, which is nice to be able to do, so that we can just dig into the deck for more combo pieces. We then play 3 copies of Pot of Avarice. Pot of Avarice has always been a 3 of in this deck to me, because this card just burns through its monsters extremely quickly, ironically because it's a water deck, but it's still really cool to be able to play this card because it lets you shuffle 5 of your monsters that's in the graveyard back in the deck, and then you draw 2, which is just super nice for this deck because it's not a once per turn, so you can activate multiple Pot of Avarices a turn if you draw into them, and it's really good because you can basically start your combo off with 1 normal summon, which is just really good. And once your 1 normal summon goes through, you're just going to combo and combo and combo until you have this absolutely crazy feel. So this card is great because you're going to use a lot of resources in the deck, and it helps you recycle your resources so you can keep comboing again on the follow-up turn or keep your combos rolling. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra, guys, we're playing a single copy of Abyss Gaios. Abyss Gaios is really good as a 1-of in the deck, as well as cards face on the field and it has an XZ material, level 5 or higher monsters cannot attack. And once per turn, during either player's turn, you can detach a material from this card and negate the effects of all face-up monsters that your opponent currently controls that has less attack than this card until the end of the turn, which is a pretty insane effect to be able to use with this card. And then play a single copy of Bahamut Shark. Bahamut Shark is great as a 1-of in this particular build, because this card helps you summon out your copy of Totally Awesome extremely easily. We then play 2 copies of Totally Awesome. Totally Awesome is totally awesome in this deck because this card is a walking negate. You can naturally make this card because we do play Swap Frogs in the deck, but this card is great as a 2-of in the build because you can summon 1 off of your copy of Bahamut and then summon out the other copy off itself, which is really insane, and it's a walking negate, and if it touches the graveyard, then you can actually put a water monster back into your hand or your extra deck, which is really good from the graveyard, which is just really nice, which can include itself. We then play a single copy of Gigantic Sprite. We do play a lot of level 2s in the deck, so this card helps us get a level 2 on our side of the field, which is really nice, especially being able to put a copy of Swap Frog on the field so we can make our copy of Totally Awesome. The only downside of this card is it does lock you into level, rank, and link to monsters for the rest of the turn, which is not that big of a deal because you just summon out this card last and then use its ability to help you go in for Totally Awesome. We then play a single copy of Double A Zeus. Double A Zeus is just great at board wiping the field, and it's very easy to make on top of your copy of Bahamut Shark. If you declare an attack with, say, Totally Awesome, you can then make this card extremely easily in the deck, and it's a really cool card. We then play a single copy of Ice Shade, the Ice Shade Synchro monster. This card is great in the deck. It's just really good to be able to put on your side of the field because it basically can banish cards, and it's really good in this deck. Play a single copy of Baron de Fleur. Baron de Fleur is a walking negate in the deck, and it's very easy to put on your side of the field with the combo with Deep Sea Diva as your opener, and it's just really good in this particular build. We then play a single copy of Tatsunoko. Tatsunoko is for the Deep Sea Diva combo. I love this card in the deck. It's super cool, and it's really easy to just normal summon out that Diva, summon out Prince, and then use Prince's ability to get you Dragoons in the graveyard, while also getting you Moral and Glacia, and then making this card, and then basically just stepping into some crazy plays in this deck, and it's really cool to be able to do. This card just enables so many cool plays. It's a tuner monster, and it's very easy to make in the deck. We then play a single copy of the World Sea Dragon Xelantis. Xelantis is great in the deck because you can waterlock yourself and then summon out this card, and then it will also use its ability to waterlock your opponent, kind of, sort of, because it will banish your opponent's cards face down. I mean, it's just really good to be able to do because it just banishes your opponent's cards, and then once it does, and use Coral Anemone's effect, since it's being summoning back by your own effect off of Xelantis' ability, they actually won't get their cards back except for their water monsters, which is really neat to be able to do to basically OTK your opponent. We then play a single copy of Appaloosa. Appaloosa is great in this deck because this card is awesome in this particular build to have multiple monster negates on the field, and it's really, really good. We then play a single copy of Coral Anemone. Coral Anemone is how you actually waterlock yourself, so you can get Atlantis' ability to basically just banish your opponent's field, which is really cool. It has the ability to target a water monster with 15 or less attack in the graveyard, special summon to zone this card points to. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except water monsters, which is really neat for this particular deck to be able to pull off, because basically all you have to do is summon this card first, use its ability, and since you waterlock yourself and the cards are going to be summoned back with Atlantis' ability, they cannot come back to your opponent's side of the field because you're the one that's putting them back on your opponent's side of the field, which is absolutely insane. We then play a single copy of the Mermail Link Monster. This card is just a great combo piece in the deck and helps out a lot in this particular build. One copy of Bujinki Arashima. Arashima is great in this deck as a one-of in this particular deck to help you go in for your XZ plays. We then play a single copy of IP Masquerena. IP is great to be able to make your copy of your Apollosa during your opponent's turn, which is just really, really good in this deck. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. This deck is super fun to be able to play. I really love playing Atlantean Mermail because you can have so many crazy inboards with this deck, especially with all the different combos this deck can pull off. You can basically freestyle some really cool combos in the deck, which is really insane. But being able to just establish Baron de Fleur and be able to put your copy of Moral Glacier on the field is just insane. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can come part of our notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.